Hello, today we are going to solve week 2 practice assignments of statistics course. So let's move. Question 1. In question 1, two dice A and B are tossed. Die A is tossed 20 times and its outcomes are listed here. You can see that 20 outcomes are listed here. And for die B was tossed 10 times and its outcomes were listed here. Now it's asking that which die has a higher relative frequency of getting 1 as the outcome of die toss. So how we define relative frequency? Relative frequency for a data point, for a case or for a observation is defined as relative frequency is the count of observation upon total count. That's how we define the relative frequency. Now for die A, I'm to find the relative frequency of getting 1. So for die A was tossed 3 times. That you can say 1 here, here, and here. So 1 is appear 3 times, and total counts are 20 because the die was tossed 20 times. So for die A, relative frequency is count of observation, which is 3, and total counts is 20. That will be your 0.15. And for die B, 1 has appeared 2 times here and here. So count of observation will be 2 and total count is 10 because die V was tossed 10 times. So here relative frequency of 1 for die V is 0.2. So because 0.2 is greater than 0.15, hence die V has a higher relative frequency of getting 1. So right answer is B. Die V has a higher relative frequency of getting 1 as a outcome. Let's move to the next question. Second question. In second question, this said a study conducted in the last 10 years shows how students choose different streams and after completing 10th standard, and whose outcome is given in the figure 2.1.p. So figure shows that how the different people choose different stream after the 10th, and the outcome of last 10 years was recorded here. That is, we can see that around 8% students choose mathematics after 10th, and around 10% of students choose biology, and so on. Now it's asking that what percentage of students have chosen biology or politics. As we know that in the bar chart, length of the win shows the frequency of that win. So for biology, we can see that around 10% of students choose biology. So people who choose biology are around 10%. And the students who choose politics, in here we can see that the students who choose politics is again 10%. So who choose politics are again 10%. So the students who choose either biology or politics will be the sum of these, that is around that is 10 plus 10, which is 20% students choose either biology or politics after 10th. So right answer is 20% students choose either biology or politics. Let's move to the next question. Third question. A poll was conducted by IMDb to rank 200 movies released in 2019 based on the revenue collected. So which graph will be best suited for this representation? Here we know that we have 3 kinds of graph for representing a categorical variable, and movie is a categorical variable. To represent its frequency, we have 3 types of charts, that is pie chart, bar chart, and Pareto chart. So which will be a more suitable to represent this data? And whenever we want to compare the frequencies of different observations of a variable, then most frequently we use bar chart or Pareto chart, because in the pie chart, area represents the frequencies, while in the bar chart and Pareto chart, length of the winds represent the frequencies. And we know that length is easy to compare rather than area. So for comparing the frequency, we most frequently use bar chart or Pareto chart. Bar chart or Pareto chart. But when to use bar chart or Pareto chart, we know that whenever a certain order exists there, then we cannot use Pareto chart. But if there the categorical variable is nominal scale, has nominal scale, then in this case Pareto chart is most frequently used because Pareto chart has descending order of frequencies. To compare the frequencies, Pareto chart is most used because from Pareto chart we can certainly know that which movie or which observation has higher frequency, because the very first observation has the highest frequency in the Pareto chart. And in our case, movies has nominal scale of measurement. So in this case, Pareto chart is most used. So answer is Pareto chart. Let's move to the next question. Fourth question. The Union Budget of India is presented each year by the Finance Minister of India. Generally, subsidies are announced to boost the growth of key sectors such as food, petroleum, fertilizers, and others. What is the problem with the pie chart representing the shares of subsidies of different sectors? The pie chart is given in the figure 2.2.p. So let's move to the figure. This figure shows the budget of 2019 presented by the Finance Minister of India. So let's check what information we can gain from the pie chart, this pie chart. In this pie chart, different colors are used for different wages. So it is the good. Here we cannot conclude that which wage belongs to which sectors, whether this belongs to petroleum or belongs to other sectors. So we cannot conclude about these things. That is, slice are different colors. That is not a problem. There is no legend containing the name and share of each group. So this is the right answer. The graph has no legend because we cannot conclude which wage belongs to which sectors. That is the problem with the graph. Chart subtitles is missing, but there is no subtitle is missing. We have titles here. We have titles here. We have subtitles here. So subtitles are not missing, and no slice has offset from the center. That is not a problem. So right answer is B. Graph doesn't contain legends. Let's move to the fifth question. A garment retailer keeps the record of profits of all his products. Profits of last 2 years are shown in figure 2.3.p. Choose the correct statement based on the data given in figure 2.3.p. In this figure, the profit of last 2 years has been shown for a garments retailer. So let's check each option one by one, which is correct or which is wrong. Pie chart is misleading because it disobeys the area principle. So let's check it. Here we don't know that we don't have the data, so we cannot conclude that the data is not obeying the area principle, because area principle says that the area of the wages should be proportional to the frequency, but here data of the frequency is not given, so certainly we cannot conclude that it does it obey or not the area principle. So this we cannot conclude, so this option is wrong. Pie chart is misleading because profit has been rounded off. So if the data has been rounded off, the sum of the frequencies should not be equal to 100%. So let's check the sum of these frequencies. We can say 10 plus 22%, 35%, 19%, 16%, and some of these frequencies will be 102%. So certainly it is not the 100%. So we can conclude that the sum of these frequencies doesn't add up to the 100%. So these values are rounded off, and whenever the frequencies are rounded off, their graph will be a misleading graph. So this option is right. Graph is or pie chart is misleading because of profit has been rounded off. Pie chart is not labeled well. So let's check. Here we can say the pie chart is labeled well because each base is a different color, and here we can see that it is labeled well, and it has legends, it has titles, it has subtitles. So all the informations we have from the pie chart. So pie chart is labeled well. This option is wrong. Pie chart is not misleading. This is wrong because pie chart is misleading just because of profit has been rounded off. Next question. Sixth question says that which of the following measures of central tendency is applicable for a categorical variable with a nominal scale of measurement? We know that categorical variable doesn't hold numerical properties, and mean is applicable only on those variables which has numerical properties. So mean is not applicable on categorical variable. And for calculating median, we know that observation should be sorted. That is, observation should be arranged in a ascending order or descending order. But for nominal scale of measurement, we don't have any order. No order exists for nominal scale of measurement. So we cannot sort these observations. Therefore, median is not applicable for the categorical variable within nominal scale of measurement. So this option is wrong. And the last measure, which is mode shows the most frequent observation. So mode is applicable for a categorical variable within nominal scale of measurement. So right answer is C, mode. For 7, 8 and 9 question, we have to use following information. Rajdhani train connects the national capital of India with the state capital of India or the biggest cities of states. The Rajdhani Express, running from Sikandarabad Junction to Hazrat Nizamuddin, has one AC first class coach, 5 AC second class coach, and 9 third AC class coaches. And each of the first class coach, second class coach, third class coaches has maximum capacity of 18 berths, 48 berths, and 64 berths respectively. And on a given day, 10 first class berths, half of the second A berths, and the 275 third A berths were filled. So this is the information which are given to us. So let's move to question 7 question. What is the percentage of berths filled in the train on the given day? So for moving to the question, let's collect all the information which is given in the question. Here train has one AC class coach and maximum capacity of one A class coach is 18 berths. So total 1A berths in train are 1 into 18. That will be 18 berths are there in train. 1A berths in train. And total 2A berths in trains because train has 5 second class coach and maximum capacity of each second class coach is 48. So total 2A berths in a train will be 5 into 48. That will be your 240 berths. And total 3 berths which are there in train is because there are 9 AC third class coaches and every third class coaches has maximum capacity of 64 berths. So total 3 berths will be 9 coaches are there and 64 each has 64 berths. That will be your 576 berths are present. 3 berths are present in the train. Here in the question is asking the percentage of total berths filled in the train. So let's find out the total berths filled on the given train. Total berths filled on the given day is in the question it is given there on a given day 10 1A berths, half of the second berths and 275 3 berths were filled. So total will be your 10 plus half of the 2A berths. You have total 240 2A berths. So half will be your 120 berths and 275 3A berths were filled. So total will be your 275 plus 120 plus 10. So total will be 10 plus 120 plus 275. That will be your 405. And we have to find percentage of total filled. So we have to calculate total berths in the trains. Total berths in the train. As we have calculated that train has 18 berths, 1A berths, 240 2A berths and 576 3 berths. So total berths in the train will be 18 plus 240 plus 576. That will be your 834 total berths are there. So percentage of berths filled will be berths filled upon total words, and I am to calculate percentage, so I am to multiply by 100. So it will be your 405 divided by 834 into 100, and when I will evaluate it, it will be your 48.56. So percentage of words fills in a given day is 48.56%. That is your answer. Eighth question. What is the relative frequency of 3 words among total words unfilled in the train of a given day? So for relative frequency, we know that relative frequency is counts of observation upon total counts. So let's calculate total unfilled words and total unfilled 3 words in the train. So we know that total words in the trains were 834, and on the given date that words that were filled are 405. So total unfilled words will be 834 minus 405. So total unfilled words your 834 minus 405, that will be your 429, and total unfilled 3 words will be, so let's calculate. Here we know that total 3 words are 576, and on a given date only 275 3 words were filled. So total unfilled 3 words will be 576 minus 275. So total unfilled 3 words will be 576 minus 275, that will be your 301. So relative frequency will be total unfilled 3 words upon total unfilled words. So total unfilled words 3 words are 301 divided by total unfilled words are 429, that will be your 0.7016. So relative frequency of 3 unfilled words will be your 0.7016. That is the answer. Ninth question. What is the pie chart representation of the words filled in the train on a given day? In the option we can see that pie chart is given, and as we know that pie chart represent the percentage of frequencies. So here in the options we are given the 1A filled percentage of 1A filled words, percentage of 2A filled words, and percentage of 3A filled words. So for and to conclude that which pie chart is representing the words filled, we have to calculate the percentage of words filled for each classes. So let's calculate percentage of words filled. So as we calculated before, number of 1A words filled were given 10, number of 2A words filled was given 120, number of 3A words filled was given 275. So total words filled on that day will be 10 plus 120 plus 275, that will be your 405. So percentage of 1A words filled will be 1A words filled upon total filled words that will be your 10 divided by 405, and as it is percentage, it will multiply by 100. When you will calculate it, it will be your 2.47, and percentage of 2A Buds filled is 120 divided by 405. 120 divided by 405 into 100, that will be your 29.6%, and percentage of 3A Buds filled will be 275 divided by 405. 275 divided by 405 into 100, that will be your 67.9%. 67.9%. So let's check which option is correct. 2 points. So in the option A, it is 1A words is 2.2. What we have calculated it 2.47. It must be 2.47. It must be 29.6%. That is wrong. So this option is wrong. For B option, it must be equal to 2.47. That is approx equal to this, and it must be 29.6%. It is right. Okay, and 3 Buds will be 67.9%. That is again right. So this option is right. This is the pie chart representation of Buds filled. So let's move to the 10th question. The sector-wide division of income of a country for the year 2012 is shown in figure 2.4.p, and figure 2.5.p represent the combined income of year 2012 and 2013 put together. And the radius of pie chart of figure 2.5.p is made twice the radius of the pie chart of figure 2.4.p. Here in this figure, income of 2012 is given for different sectors, and in this figure, income of 2012 and 2013 together is given for different sectors, and it is given that the radius of this pie chart is twice of the this pie chart. Based on this information, which of the following could be true? So first is the share of each sectors is same in year 2012 and 2013. So if the share of each sectors is same for 2012 and 2013, then total share will also be same for 2012 and 2013. That is, the share of 2012 plus 2013 will be the twice of the share of 2012 itself. But in our case, the area of this pie chart is 4 times of area of 2012 pie chart, because the radius of this pie chart is twice of the radius of the before pie chart. It implies that its area is 4 times of area of 2012. It implies that the shares of income is 4 times for 2012 and 2013 of the income 2012 itself. But so the share of each sectors is not same for year 2000 and 2013. So this option is wrong. The net income increased by threefold from the year 2012 to 2013. So assume it is true. Then in this case, what will be? That is, if income is increased by threefold from the year 2012 to 2013, so income in 2013 will be the thrice of income in 2012. That implies income of 2012 plus 2013 together will be 4 times of income of 2012. It is right because the area of the 2012 and 2013 pie chart is the 4 times of the area of 2012 pie chart. Therefore, net income will be increased by 3 times of the year 2012 in 2013. So B option is right. So let's check C option. The share of territory sector in 2013 income is approx 16.33%. So let's check the share of territory sector in 2013. We are given the share of 2012, that is your 11%, and for 2012 and 2013 it is given the 15%. So let's assume total income of 2012 is 100 for making a computation easy. So I am assuming total income of 2012 is 100. Now what will be your total income of 2012 and 2013? That will be your 4 times of income of 2012 by the area principal, because the area of pie chart of 2012 plus 2013 is the 4 times of area of pie chart of 2012. So the total income will be the 4 times of 2012. That will be your 400. So income of 2013 will be 400 minus 100, that will be your 300. Now I am to find the income of territory sector. So income of territory sector in 2012 is given 11% of 100 in the pie chart. So it will be your 11% of 100 is 11, and income of territory sector the same in 2012 plus 2013 is given 15% of 400 in the pie chart. That will be your 15 into 400 divided by 100, it will be your 60. That is the income of 2012 plus 2013. So income from territory sector in 2013 itself will be 60 minus 11, that will be your 49. So share of territory sector will be the income of territory sector in 2013, that will be your 49 divided by income of 2013, that will be your 300 into 100, that will be your 16.33. So share of territory sector in 2013 itself is 16.33 approximately. That is your right. For D and E, we have to calculate primary sector income increase by what percentage? For it, we have to calculate the income of primary sector in 2012 and 2013. Then we will find the increment. So let's calculate the income from primary sector in both the years. So primary sector of 2012 is given 64%, and for combined 2012 and 2013 primary sector given is 58%. So the same, we have assuming the income in 2012 is 13. So income from, in this case, income from primary sector in 2012 will be 60, given is 64%, will be 64% of 100, it implies 64, and in 2012 plus 2013 together it is given 58%, that will be your 58% of 400, that will be your 58 into 400 divided by 100, it will be 232. Since it is the combined income of 2012 and 2013, so the income from primary sector in 2013 itself will be the minus of this, that will be your 232 minus 64, that will be your 168. But we have to calculate the increment from 2012 to 2013. So increment will be, it is the income in 2013 and it is the income in 2012. So the increment will be the income of 2013 minus income of 2012. That will be your 168 minus 64. That is your increment. It is 104. And the percentage of increment will be the increment upon initial income. That is the income in 2012 from the primary sector. That is your 64. And as we are calculating percentage, it will be 162.5. That is your percentage increment. So right answer is E. B is wrong. Primary sector income is increased by 162.5%. Let's check option F. The income of a secondary sector is exactly twice of that of tertiary sector in the year 2013. So let's calculate the income of secondary sectors in 2013 and income of tertiary sector in 2013, and we will compare these two. Income from secondary sector in 2012 is given by 25%, and in together 2012 and 2013 is given by 27% of 400. So income of secondary sector in 2012 will be 25% of 100. That will be a 25, and 2012 plus 2013 together it will be is given 27% of 400. That will be your 27 into 400 divided by 100. That is your 108. So income from secondary sector in 2013 will be 108 minus 25. That is your 83. Now calculate the income from territory sector in 2013. Income from territory sector is given 11% in 2012, and in 2012-13 is given as 15%. So from territory sector in 2012 income is given as 11%. That will be your 11, and in combined 2012 plus 2013 it is given as 15% of 400. That will be a 15 into 400 by 100. That will be a 16. So income in 2013 from territory sector will be 60 minus 11. That will be a 49. So the income from secondary sector in 2013 is 83, and from territory sector it is 49. So income of secondary sector is exactly twice that of sector in 2013. This statement is wrong. For questions 11, 12, 13 and 14, we are to use following information. A contract for sport jerseys of 45 players in a team is being given to a vendor. All the players except two get their preferred sizes from among the categories XL, L, M and S. Two players A and B don't know which size will fit them, and the data is given to be unimodal. Here 45 players is to give their jersey sizes to a vendor, but two players A and B don't know which jersey size will fit them, and the data is given unimodal, that is only one mode is existing there, that is the sizes of jerseys has only one mode observation. 11 question. If player A knows that most of the players have a similar physique to him, which jersey size can he order? Since A doesn't know which size will fit him, but he knows that the most of the players has similar physique to him, that is A will order the jersey size which will be ordered by most number of the players. And by the definition of mode, we know that mode is the most frequent observations. Hence, whatever jersey size will A order, that will be our mode of the observations. So let's check all the options. Size M jersey if it is the mode of the size of the jerseys. Yes, this option is right, because if M will be the mode of the size of jerseys, then he will order M sizes, because he will order the mode of the jersey sizes. Option B, size S jersey, if it is the mode of the size of the jerseys. This option is again right, because if S will be the mode of the size of jersey, then he will order the S jersey size. Option C, size M jersey, if it is the median of the size of jersey. This option is wrong, because A is to order the mode jersey size, but here it is given that M is the median of the size of jersey, because mode and median need not to be equal. So it is not mandatory that if it is the median, it will be the mode or not. So he will not order M size jersey if it is the median of the size of jerseys. Option D, size S, if it is the median of size of jerseys. So in this case, if S is the median of the size of jersey, then we know that median is the middle observations of the sorted data. Here, when we will arrange all the jersey sizes in their order, that is, if we arrange the jersey sizes in the ascending order of S, then M, then L, and then XL, then the middle observation, because there are 43 observations, because 43 players has ordered their jersey sizes, so middle observation, that will be your 22nd observation, will be the median, and median is given as, so if S is the median, then S will be placed at the 22nd observations. But we have arranged all the jersey sizes in their ascending order, so all the jersey sizes before 22nd observations will be of S size only. So all the observations from first place to 22nd place will be S size. So number of S sizes jersey will always greater than or equal to 22nd, because we know that at all the places from 1 to 22nd, their sizes of jerseys are S. So size S size jerseys can be greater than or equal to 22, and there are only 43 observations. So number of M size jersey, number of L size jersey, and number of XL size jersey will be less than or equal to 22. So S size jersey will be ordered by most number of players. So in that case, S will be your mode quantity also. Mode. So whenever S is the median for this data, it will also be mode quantity. So A will order that S size also if it is the median of size of jersey. So right options are A, B, and D. 12th question. The 43 chosen jersey sizes are arranged in the increasing order of sizes. That is, they are arranged in the order of S, then first all S size jerseys are arranged, then all the M size jerseys are arranged, then after that all L size jerseys are arranged, and after that all XL jersey sizes are arranged. If player B knows that his jersey size is approximately equal to the jersey size of the player with 22nd ranked jersey size in the arrangement, which jersey size should player B order? So here, as we have arranged all the jersey sizes in the order, and the 22nd jersey sizes will be the middle observation. 22nd observation will be the median, that is the jersey size at the 22nd position will be the median of all the jersey sizes. So whatever is the median for the jersey sizes, he will order that jersey size only. So check all the options. Option A, size M jersey, if it is the mode of size of the jerseys. This is wrong, because if M is the mode, then we cannot say it is the median or not. So this option is wrong. Option B, he will order size S jersey if it is the mode of size of the jerseys. This is again wrong, because S is the mode, so we cannot say that S is a median or not. Option C, size M jersey if it is the median of size of jersey. This option is right, because B is to order median of size of jerseys, and if M will be the median, then he will order size M jersey. Option D, size S jersey if it is the median of size of jersey. This option is again right, because if S will be the median, he will order that S size jersey. Next question, 13th question. Players A and B have identified their preferred sizes based on the information on the data from the questions 11 and 12. That is, A has ordered the mode of jersey sizes and B has ordered the median of jersey sizes. Now we have to find whether mode is changing or not. Earlier there were 43 jerseys and the data was given to be universal. That is, there were only one mode in the jersey sizes. So A has increased the count of mode of all the jersey sizes. That is, if let's say for example, if M is the mode and A has ordered the M size again, so the number of sizes of M will increase by 1 unit. So that will again will be in the most number of jersey sizes. And B has increased the median of jersey sizes, so it will not affect the mode because mode observation has already been increased by 1 unit and median observation is again increased by 1 unit only, and the data was given to be unimodal. That is, there was only one mode existing in the previous data, and when both A and B has added one jerseys to that data, mode will not change there. So option is right, mode does not change. Option B, the mode is not necessarily equal to the jersey size of player A. This option is wrong because A has ordered the mode jersey sizes. So after adding their jersey sizes to the previous 43 jersey sizes, the mode will again be same, and A has ordered that mode jersey sizes. So the mode of the jersey sizes will be equal to the size of player A. So this option is wrong. Option C, mode is not necessarily equal to the jersey size of player B. This option is right because B has ordered the median of jersey sizes, and median and mode need not to be equal all the time. So we cannot say that jersey size of B, that is the median of the jersey sizes, is equal to the mode of the jersey sizes. That is not necessarily to be equal. So option C is right. D, it cannot be determined that mode has changed or not. This option is wrong because B has already determined that mode will not change. So right options are A and C. 14th question. Players A and B have identified their preferred jersey sizes based on the information given in the questions 11 and 12, and their preferences has been added to the existing data set. What can be said about the median of the new data set? Again, A has chosen the mode observation and B has chosen the median observation of median of jersey sizes, and their jersey sizes have been added to the all 43 observations, and now the data will contain 45 jersey sizes. Now what can be said about the median of new data set? So earlier there were 43 observations. They were arranged in the order and median was at the 22nd position. Let's say this is your 22nd observation, which is your median. Now A and B has added their jersey sizes. Now total number of observations are 45. So when we arrange them in the ascending order, the 23rd jersey sizes will be your median. Since B has ordered the median observations, for example, let's say median is M jersey size. Then at the 22nd position, M jersey size is placed because we are arranged them in the ascending order. Now when B has ordered the median observation, for our example, he has ordered M jersey sizes. Now we have to arrange them the order, so M will be placed somewhere around the 22nd position. Let's say if it is placed before 22nd position, then the jersey sizes which was placed at 22nd place will come to the 23 positions. If it is arranged after the 22nd observation, then again jersey size at 23 observations will be your again M size in that case. So, and we know that the jersey size at the 23rd position will be your median observations, and in our case the jersey size at the 23rd observation is again your median, and we know that in our case the jersey size at the 23rd position is the same as which was in the 22nd position in earlier data. So median will not change there. So A option is right. Option B, the median is not necessarily equal to the jersey size of player A. This option is right because A has ordered the mode observations and median and mode need not to be equal all the time. So median is not necessarily equal to the jersey size of player A because A has ordered the mode observation. Option C, median is not necessarily equal to the jersey size of player B. This option is wrong because B has ordered the median observation and in the new data set median and the median is not changing, so whatever size B has ordered will be the median. So median is necessarily equal to the jersey size of player B. So this option is wrong. Option D, it cannot be determined whether the median has changed or not. This option is again wrong because we have determined that median will not change.